Hi everyone, welcome back to Sunny Isle. It's been a while since I've been able to record my voice due to a pretty bad cold or flu. I think it was flu. I was pretty much out of it for the past week or so, not really thinking straight. However, I have been developing the city and I'm going to compress it into a few shorter episodes, this one being the first. And then I'm just going to jump in and kind of give you a recap as we go through now that I found my voice again. Anyway, jumping back down to the Old Town Plaza, which I did name Palms Time Plaza just to give credit to the original map creator and the incredible content creator that is Palms Time. And we've got a really good opportunity here to add one of our signature buildings. So we jump into... Is this the landmark buildings? Yeah, we've got a couple unlocked here. We've got the Vertigo Square and the Constellation Apartments. And I think Vertigo Square probably looks more fitting in this area since it's got a darker color brick. But do bear in mind, like as these upgrade, they do change appearance as well, similar to regular residential buildings, so I think we could squeeze that in there. We do lose a building in the back, but I think this will look nice if we can actually fit this in. There we go. Yeah, that looks quite nice. I think this symmetry with the blue buildings is a little bit odd though, so I might just trim this one here a little bit. If we sneak in a row house just to the side, and then we can get a 2x2 building in there, and I think that'll look quite nice. You may have noticed in the last episode we don't really have the rest of the train infrastructure set up just yet. We've got the depot and we've got the main line leaving the city, but at the moment it just dips down into a hole, and David Chester, one of the commenters on the last video, spotted it right at the end in the cinematic clips to allow us to get some of the trains into the city for the showcase. Yeah, it comes down into an underground line, and I've just got it running to the edge of the map. So I think today we want to build up the rest of the train infrastructure leading to our proper outside connection, which is over by the incinerator plant. And with that, there's a couple of ideas that myself and again David Chester kind of put out there in the comment section. So we do have the abandoned rail line that runs through the map, and yeah, I think it will be a good idea to preserve it, even though we do have the collapsed tunnel under here. I think we can refurbish that. And this could be the heritage line, the one that the line that kind of has always been there in the city, as long as people remember, as long as there's been a development here. And second to that, we want to be able to start to develop a high-speed line, and then we can start to differentiate the difference between our cargo route and our passenger route. And in the long-term future, the plan is to develop a new larger port outside of the main city area. I think this would be quite nice to be redeveloped in the future into maybe like some sort of tech hub, something similar to Canary Wharf in London, where they used to build a lot of ships and move a lot of cargo, which is now a financial hub in the centre of London, and then move a lot of the industry out here. But we're a long way off from that, and I like to progress these things slowly. So yeah, we want to have a high-speed line, kind of branch off from where we got the depot and come through the valley. And I'm thinking, following the footsteps of a lot of Japanese rail lines, of just blasting through this hill here and just keeping the line as straight as possible to increase speed. But also I think it will look quite cool to be honest. And this is City Skylines, and a lot of what we build isn't just for functionality but for aesthetics as well. And sure, we could come around this hill, and financially that probably makes more sense, but if we could come through and have it come out the other side along a viaduct, that'd be quite interesting. And David also had an idea of creating some sort of rail hub around here in the future, which I think is an excellent idea as the city starts to expand out. Perhaps we can integrate regular rail along with metro, and we could have the metro lines branch out to other parts of the island as it becomes more developed and more populated. First, I'm going to revisit this roundabout that we built a couple of episodes ago. This is one that is on the main road into the city. I did notice there was a backup of trams, and this was caused by vehicles not being able to join the main road and blocking one of the side roads. So I was having a look at the lane math here, and there was just too many lanes on the roundabout itself. And I know somebody did suggest this in the comments a while back about reducing the number of lanes, and so I thought I'd give it a go, and I tried it out using the vanilla single lane highway road, but unfortunately it was causing some odd giveaway yielding results. So what I did is I jumped into the road builder and downgraded a 2-lane road into a 1-lane road, but it keeps all the mechanics of a regular 2-lane highway. And you can see here it's created a very high speed, almost a mini turbo roundabout, and we were able to clear out the backlog and get all the trams moving again. And I think it looks great. It's not over engineered, it's a perfect fit for this city until we need to do something else in the future. Following this, I start to remove the existing train lines that we put in for the cinematics in the last episode, and we'll get rid of this crazy underground tunnel and start to upgrade some of the rail line along the side of the depot. And we'll start to increase the elevation of this so that we can come over the service road that we've got coming up to the depot and use that as the start of the bridge over the river and the viaduct that will go through the valley. Coming up to the tram depot here, I'm sneaking the rail line just past the side here, elevating it over the existing road infrastructure, and then coming back to the ground at the foot of the hill. And then the plan is to run alongside this hillside here and then cut across to our depot. And I think we could probably get away with using the complex curve tool here. And using that will ensure that the elevation is fairly even along the length of track. And I was quite surprised with the results actually. We got a nice smooth sweeping curve. And the elevation along the length of the track is fairly uniform. It's pretty good. There's a couple of areas that I do want to fix to upgrade. I don't necessarily want to use the retaining wall, so I'm simply just replacing these sections by bringing the ground back up to level and then replacing the rail along it. And we'll also plant a few trees to make sure that the land is secure. Now coming over to the large mountain that we eventually want to blast through, I'm going to raise the ground up so that we get a nice flat elevation for the rail to run along. I don't necessarily want to use a viaduct where it wouldn't be necessary. If we can bring the ground up, it makes more sense. I don't mind having a mix here, and then we can start to connect that up to the line that is at the depot and fix some of these fields. And this whole process was fairly non-destructive apart from one home that happened to survive underneath this viaduct, but I don't think it's very believable, so we remove that and tidy things up. Now I wasn't super pleased with the result of this curve, so I'm just going to redraw it, and that does remove the viaduct over the tram depot road, but I think the result is much cleaner, and we can jump into the detailing tools and just create a nice little detailed area below this viaduct. I can't imagine there would be a good spot to grow much grass. Jumping over to the collapsed rail tunnel, we can redraw that to ensure that we've got a nice clean curve coming through the area. The elevation is reasonable. I think we get to around about 2%, which is fine. Now we just need to come out of the other side. We're on the south bay, and we can start to come along here, replace some of these farms, and connect the rail up to the depot. You can see we're drawing with the double track here, but I do downgrade it back to a single track, as that's the look and feel that I want to go for this line. This is the older heritage line, and the high speed is more modern. And we get to have a little bit of fun with the rail along here. It's quite tight quarters, and we can bring this in and connect it up. And we are using a level crossing for this smaller line. We're going to keep just a single train for each of the rail and passenger line while we're using it, so there won't be that much traffic on the line itself. Adding a double track. And lastly, we're just going to connect this up to the outside world. Alright, so we've got the high-speed rail in, and it's looking very smooth, very swish. We've got the little viaduct running along over the river and then along this field here. We could probably trim this field. I imagine it's a bit of a pain to have to come over to this section. And yeah, it's looking pretty flat, pretty smooth. I checked it with Move It. I did the flatten to a node height, and it didn't really change any much. So I think we got quite lucky there with our heights. And yeah, we're ready to blast through this mountain, but we're yet to own this land yet. So that project is on hold. So High Speed 1 is currently postponed, but our minor, smaller line is in, and I did build parts of this with the double track originally, but I do want to keep it quite small. So I reduced it down to the single lane track and added a couple of passing points here. So we've got one just as you come into the tunnel here. We've got another one on the other side. Of course, I'm not able to put anything in between the two city areas that we do own, but we do have a little one here just as you come in, and then it just goes off to the edge of the map. And at the moment it's a very modest connection, and I think in the future we may not even want to have the cargo line connected to the outside world. I think I would prefer to just have the high speed rail come through here and then keep most of the cargo sea based, so we'd have another cargo port here and then connect it up using the rail line, and then transport a lot of that cargo coming into the city by rail into the city itself. And yeah, I think that'd be an interesting system to say the least. And yeah, pretty happy with the way this has come out. Now that we've got the rail line in, I really do want to start to develop South Bay, bringing in these roads, possibly keeping it fairly gridded still, because we are quite close to the center of the city. And I don't think this will be a very touristy area. It's probably more of a residential suburb, so not too many shops, not too much density. We'll keep it quite low key. And then on this side, yeah, I still want to put in the town hall and build that memorial garden. So we'll do that in the next one. And yeah, pretty happy with the results so far. The city is growing, albeit slowly, but in a way that I think will be sustainable in the future, and lots of possibilities for create a more organic looking city overall. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me on this short episode today. Appreciate everybody tuning in and spending a small portion of their day with me, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.